Hi, everyone. Welcome. Grad Open House, Day 2. We're talking about interior architecture today. And we'll get into introductions in just a moment. I just want to wait until we get sort of a critical mass of students on here. Okay, good. So first off, I just want to say thank you again for coming. This is our premiere event. Hopefully you learn a lot today about the 3 different tracks within the interior architecture department. My name is Molly Pettengill. I'm the Associate Director for Graduate Recruitment. I also hold my MFA in painting, so I am nowhere near an expert in this field, but I can talk about the admissions and financial aid questions. And that leads me to my next thing is that what I'd like you to do is if you have questions coming in, if anything we're talking about brings up questions, type that in the Q&A because we'll have some time afterwards to talk and answer those questions directly from the faculty. So let me stop sharing my screen so you can see our faces. Eduardo, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Molly, for bringing us together here. I'm here as the Graduate Program Director for Interior Architecture, and I'm very pleased to conduct this session with my colleague here.
Wolfgang Rudolph. My name is Wolfgang Rudolph. Welcome all, and Molly, thank you for organizing the webinar. I'm the department head of interior architecture here at RISD.
Excellent. So Eduardo, do you want to just try sharing your screen just to make sure that everybody can see it? And we'll ask you guys to just raise your hand to make sure that you're seeing the screen okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Awesome. Looks like thank you for those who participated and raising your hand. Excellent. And if you can't see the full screen, there are view options. So just make sure you're looking at the full screen. You should be able to see our faces as well as the presentation. And I also just want to note that this is going to be recorded, so that way you don't need to take a million screenshots. It will be on our YouTube channel probably by the end of this week or early next week. So Eduardo, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Molly. So I'm going to be presenting together with my colleague Wolfgang. We're going to be talking about the department. We're going to be talking about the graduate programs that we host in the department. We're going to be talking about graduate student work. We're going to be talking about alumni work. We're going to be talking about our faculty. And we expect to have half of our time to engage with you in a conversation. So our community of approximately 130 students. We have in our departments graduate students, but we also have undergraduate students. And we have a very diverse and national and international population of more than 20 countries of origin. We are together in a building called CIT, the Center of Integrative Technologies. There, in our studios, we make stuff, we make things that are part of an art and design school. And the work is really at the level of the spatial interventions, looking at the materials, looking at the user, how does the user engage with architecture in the built environment. So I pass it on to my colleague Wolfgang to speak a little bit about our programs in particular.
Right. Thank you, Eduardo. Yeah, we have, as Eduardo pointed out, a small undergraduate program, and you may know that all undergraduates that actually are enrolled or are accepted to RISD start their first year their freshman year in experimental foundation studies, and then declare a major in their sophomore year. So the undergrads start at INTAR in their sophomore year, and then are a part of the department for 3 years until their senior year, and their a small graduation thesis project that they collaboratively work on. There is also the opportunity for our undergrads, once they have reached the second term of their junior year and their senior year, to participate in the advanced lotteries that are offered every year in the department. And there's then a cross enrollment between grads and undergrads, and it's always quite fascinating to see those two groups actually collaborating, being in the same studio, exchanging ideas, and supporting each other in the way how creative work is being being produced. So we and then I should talk about our 3 graduate programs. One is the MA Adaptive Reuse program. This is a 1-year program, and 1 year plus a summer program. And I should say that the MA group comes together for their summer program in Copenhagen. It is being taught by RISD faculty, usually our colleague Heinrich Hermann, who is really familiar with the adaptive reuse scene in Copenhagen, and has a wonderful way actually to introduce students to the whole discipline of adaptive reuse. It is a bit more common and established in Europe as it is currently in the United States, but even in the United States, the tendency, of course, is that more and more buildings need to be adapted. There's for sustainability reasons and to save our world, I think we really need to think about the reuse of projects. And then after this, during their stay in Copenhagen, the students have also this wonderful opportunity to go on an excursion, a 1-week excursion to Sweden and to Finland, to admire and experience the work of Absalon and Alvar Aalto and others. And then in the fall, the MA students are coming together here at CIT, at RISD, and have a number of courses that are actually tailored to the postgraduate their postgraduate education. So as you may know, the MA students, in order to be accepted into the program, need to have an undergraduate degree in architecture. And the program actually ends in the spring with an adaptive reuse studio that is in particularly designed for the group and the experience level of this group. Then we have our MDes adaptive reuse program. That is the two-year program, also again concentrating on adaptive reuse. The students are starting in this program with a 6-week intensive summer program taught here at RISD in our building, in the CIT building. And as you are aware, the MDes studies, you're not required to present an undergraduate degree in architecture. You have an undergraduate degree, but it can be out of discipline. It can be out of, often it is out of graphics or out of building sciences and building technologies. But even that is not required. We often have students that are entirely out of discipline. And through the summer program, you have this opportunity to, if you are entirely out of discipline, to truly catch up rather quickly. And we are always amazed about the speed in which that happens and the enthusiasm with which you come into the program in order to gain a footing in this new discipline. So don't be concerned about that at all. The summer program in particular is tailored towards that need to achieve within the group a common foundation. And the MDes program in adaptive reuse, there are similarities to the MDes group in exhibition and narrative environments, but let me quickly talk about our thesis. Talk about our thesis sequence. So we are, the thesis, the design thesis is a 3-semester endeavor. We start with a seminar that is called Investigating Interiority, and you are asked there to articulate and to generate a thesis idea, not a thesis proposal, yet an idea. Then in the following semester, you have the seminar in design thesis preparation, and that at the end of that seminar, you have to have a design thesis proposal, and you are actually guided by faculty and mostly through individual meetings, because the topics are so specific to your interests that it is really important that you have those one-on-one meetings with your faculty. And then from there, you are actually have the opportunity to continue in design thesis studio. That would be your final project within the program. And as I said, you are responsible for defining the thesis, your thesis interest, and of course, generate a design thesis studio, a kind of a translation of your theoretical work into a kind of a physical form, a design form. And then we have our MA program, our MDes exhibition and narrative environment focus. And there, again, you start with the same summer program, and it is always fascinating to have those two disciplines within the same program, often working together, collaborating, but also being guided by specific faculty who are in particularly concentrating on exhibition and narrative environment. So you have the same 6-week program. You have the same enrollment requirements. You don't have to come out of the architecture discipline or the exhibition design discipline. Again, you can be coming entirely out of discipline. And the MDes exhibition and narrative environment has a different curriculum. You have exhibition topics in exhibition and narrative environments 1 and 2, which is a bit similar to the concept of investigating interiority, where you are starting to define an idea for your final project. And then you are actually in the same seminar for all the theoretical teaching of design thesis prep. but you have specific faculty for your one-on-one meetings that are focusing their own professional career on exhibition and narrative environments. And then you go into design thesis studio. I should say that after the introduction studios in your first semester, when you start in the fall after the summer program, you will have the opportunity to, or the tradition here at Inter is that we are offering 5 advanced studios, and those advanced studios are being presented by the faculty to you prior to start of the semester, and you have the a possibility of define or letting us know what your main interest would be, which project, which studio your main interest would be, and we are always trying to then enroll you into this class. It's what we call an advanced studio lottery. We often cannot, or sometimes we cannot offer you the primary choice, but definitely your second choice. But the topics always range from heritage studios to studios that are concentrating on sustainability, to studios that have to do with hospitality, sometimes shopping, and there's a wide range of different studio topics. And something that is interesting, interior architecture also has a close relationship with our landscape architecture department, and sometimes studios are offered in an interdisciplinary fashion.
Yeah. So maybe that will lead us to understanding that we prepare students for the professional world and the professional environment. And in our advanced studios, as Wolfgang was mentioning, we offer a particular broad variety of focus. And one example in this particular case is a collaboration with a coverings manufacturer in Spain to design a space or a lounge space in the Barcelona Design Week. And the students were involved with working with the faculty member, working with the manufacturer to design a space, and eventually gets fabricated. So the way we work now is very constantly evolving. We came from 2 years of a pandemic where we were all on Zoom, and we shifted to a world that we knew a little bit from before, like we had this past summer in Copenhagen, working with students on hands-on experience and visit to incredible architectural and adaptive reuse sites from modernity, but also contemporary reuse of industrial sites in particular cases. We're also back in Providence, where we realize part of our MDes program, and we have a hands-on way of working. We exhibit works of our grads in campus, in the diverse places and exhibitions. We held our triennial back again. So somehow we're, I would say, 100% back to where we were before the pandemic, but we also learned very much. We learned very much of the importance of making and community. And some of the projects that we will show further on will somehow are evidence of that. So I'll pass it on to my colleague Wolfgang to speak about this project.
Yeah, this you see here the Rhode Island State House Reimagined project, RISD State House Futures, and that was one of the that is the MA. That was last year's MA. Actually, this year's MA final advanced adaptive reuse studio. And so we had the opportunity, of course, to work closely with the constituency. We were able to work closely with the governor and the governor's office, and we were truly reimagining the State House and what a State House means in today's political context, and how a State House in particular can be supportive of securing a democratic process. So here you see another MA studio, the Superman building. It is an Art Deco high-rise here in Providence, unfortunately no longer occupied. And so the RISD students, our students were asked to actually develop ideas and concepts how this wonderful building could actually find a new use, a new program, and so could be preserved for the future, and would again be a lively contributor to the urban fabric.
Speaking about urban fabric, we also held for many years at RISD honors program in Rome, and in 2018, the same class of adaptive reuse focused on the Palazzo Cenci and in the context of the Rome fabric. So there was an immersive experience. And again, studying the city, studying the architecture, studying interiority as part of the same system. So the next part of our presentation speaks a little bit about our cross collaborations with various departments of RISD, including the sculpture department, textiles department, and again, this idea of immersive making. Studio that Wolfgang also led.
Yeah, this is here you see a slide of an interdisciplinary studio with our architecture department, with our textile department and INTAR. You see an image here of our summer program installations. This is one of our many exhibitions that we provide, and this is human factors, where students have to create a shape for a seating position. We have a wonderful collaboration here with all kinds of form findings that would actually create an active facade of some sort.
Yeah. So again, the idea of automation, but the idea of advanced forms of making, collaboration with industrial design, looking at new forms of flying.
Yeah. Often those studios are industry sponsored, which is highly fascinating.
Another cross collaboration with architecture, industrial design, furniture, interior architecture, looking at the forestry and looking into the cork as a material and to be applied in the built environment. Again, the studios become this place of investigation, right? So this is the studio that you taught, right?
That was the studio. We then also were able actually to exhibit at the Domaine de Beaubourget in France. And it's fascinating when you bring three disciplines together that students contribute enormously, I think, to a collaborative project. And yeah, as you can see here, the idea was to rethink partitions, rethink suspended ceilings. Was sponsored by Saint-Gobain in France. And there were altogether three major ideas, and Saint-Gobain actually bought the rights to all three studios.
It's fascinating. So I think speaking about the exhibit, dissemination is very important in our work and in the work of our students. And also the dissemination of works that deal with topics that matter today, and what matters, of course, for all of the world will be climate change. And this is the dissemination of publication of work that comes out of an adaptive reuse MA class, looking at the point in Newport and thinking about methodologies to visualize climate change through immersive technologies, and really speculating of what would be the future of the area if the predictions that we face are a reality, and how could we preserve and look in forms of heritage and at the same time sustainability, forms of speculative heritage. But most of all, engaging the community in understanding issues is very important.
In 2021, we were asked by Senator Whitehouse, who's the junior senator of Rhode Island, if our students would be interested in presenting a possibility of a pedestrian and bicycle path along the famous Claiborne-Pell Bridge that connects Jamestown, more or less the mainland of well, Jamestown is an island, but they are connected with a bridge. But then Jamestown to Newport with this suspension bridge. And so four design ideas were developed and through and represented and explored through augmented reality and virtual reality. Visitors were able to pedal on a stationary bike, experiencing what it would feel to be actually crossing the Narragansett Bay. And it's an ongoing studio. We are in the process right now to develop an exhibition that could travel to different public spaces, so that the knowledge and the also the technology and the idea of crossing the Pell Bridge in a different way would be disseminated.
Yeah, and speaking about dissemination, our department has edited, two of our colleagues have edited the first publication on adaptive reuse, a journal that it's on its 12th issue. Every issue has been co-edited in the department, involving students. And most of all, they consist on almost a compilation or a manual of compilation of best practices of intervention in adaptive reuse. And this leads us to another section of our presentation, which is really what's happening now in the department. And what's happening now, we are approaching midterms. We are approaching final reviews with past midterms. And we really wanted to give a glimpse of works that we just collected last week from our colleagues. And most of all, we include foundation studios on the MDes program, looking at essential forms of space making and spatial sequence through drawing, making, but also advanced studios in exhibition design, engaging real world situations in collaboration with the Guggenheim Museum in New York, where students are studying directly with their faculty, but also with the expertise of the curator in the Guggenheim. So we believe that the classroom does not consist only of the physical campus, but also going out into the world and experiencing real world situations and engaging with experts is part of what we offer to our students. You want to talk a little bit about the Biomimicry Studio, Wolfgang?
We have the opportunity again for a biomimicry studio that is now already in its second semester to work with the Natural History Museum at Cape Cod. And again, a very close collaboration with the client, with the museum director, with the curators of the museum, with the technicians of the museum maintaining the exhibitions. And yeah, we are supported by the Biomimicry Institute of New England, and it is a wonderful collaboration. And right now is exploring one particular room for one exhibition concept that is going to be constructed for the coming season.
Yeah, we also focus or help students to focus on the design of exhibitions, but design of special environments dedicated to retail. And again, this is a hands-on experience, as we spoke before about learning about digital technologies and immersive technologies for the exhibit design, but also engaging hands-on with the new materials and biomaterials. A classroom taught by our colleague, engaging students directly at the Nature Lab and the Biomaker space that was also designed by our students in a studio sponsored by the National Science Foundation. We also prepare students to look into real architectural codes, building codes, and detail techniques in our classrooms. We also engage students in methods of representation that range from analog to digital, where they really express their creativity and also skills. We also engage students in forms of representing sound that on one hand have a technical expertise of yes, go ahead please, Volkan.
Yeah,
No,
I actually just wanted to chime in and let you guys know we have a lot of questions.
Okay.
So all of this is amazing content. I just wanted to get an idea of the sense of timing, because we do have some important questions come here.
Excellent. So we're just broadening our presentation of who we are, our faculty members, what we do, the diverse range of work that we do in our own professional practice. We bring to the classroom, and how much we are involved and committed. Our alumni, maybe we'll end with our alumni, and some of our alumni, where do they go, what do they do? They work in practice across various different firms in North America, across the world. These are only of course a few, but also may find particular individual paths that work on the issues of social justice across the world. This is a grad, Joyce Cutie from exhibition and Narrative Environments in 2019 that worked in Malaysia with the refugees and traffic victims. And again, the work is very much on the public sphere and on the social sphere, and as much as on the other spheres, such as in the exhibition design world. One of our alumni is also currently directing the exhibitions museums in Qatar. But most of all, we form or we educate and we work with our students to really help them realize their goals and their ambitions. And those goals shift and are constantly evolving, and RISD is really an opportunity and a place for everyone to learn together and achieve dreams. And those dreams begin and end in our studio space, but eventually they go out in the world. So as I think we've heard, it will be wonderful to have an opportunity now to have a brief conversation and answer any questions that you'd like to ask us.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pop back on. I'm happy to moderate these questions, and you're welcome to keep sharing your screen, but we do have some students who are using the closed captioning, so sometimes it's helpful if our faces are a little bit bigger,
Okay.
so they can see our moving faces as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question, and this is sort of early on in the presentation, which it was addressed, but I think it's something that we get so often in the admissions office, and I'm sure you guys do too. And that is, what is the difference between the MA program in adaptive reuse and the MDes program in adaptive reuse?
Right. Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. Our MA program, as we pointed out, is a one-year program, plus the 7 weeks in Copenhagen. So 2 semesters plus the 7 weeks in Copenhagen. It is a 1 year, what we call a 1 year program. And you are required to present an undergraduate degree in architecture when you apply to the program, and once when you are accepted. And the MDes program is our 2-year program plus the 6-week summer program. It is the same requirements for the adaptive reuse and the E&E category. You have to have an undergraduate degree, but not in the discipline of design or architecture. You can have it already, of course, in those disciplines, but it's not required. And the summer program brings you it's designed so that everybody is starting the fall on a similar and the same foundation. And the MDes AR and the MA AR program, they both are concentrating on adaptive reuse.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that is being taught in theory. It is taught in the history of adaptive reuse, and the distinction at RISD, we always talk about the 3 architectures: the architecture department, the landscape architecture, and our interior architecture department. At our department, the big difference to the architecture department is that our students always start with an existing structure. We call it a host building of some sort into which students are going to intervene. They are responsible often for defining the new program. They are defining based on the urban situation, the right scale of intervention. They are required, of course, to understand the context, not only in the physical sense of the building and the history of the building, but also the social, political, and socio-economical, socio-cultural context of a particular structure within a particular urban context.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think it's important to mention, Eduardo, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of students will maybe apply to the wrong track. However, it's the same group of faculty, or in most cases, Eduardo and Wolfgang, you guys are overseeing, the separate people who are looking at these folks, and you won't get admitted to the wrong program. I'll say that, right? So if you've applied for the MDes or MA in interior architecture, but you do not have the qualifications, we'll look at your application for the MDes and AR. That might be a great fit for you.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So I don't want them to worry that if they choose the wrong program, they're automatically going to be denied. We are looking at this in a holistic way, and it's a pretty small operation. It's not like there's admissions goes through a process. It's just the faculty here. So
Yeah, and also I would only add that also one of the advantages of the adaptive reuse MDes program is that you have a summer in between, that you have the chance to engage on a professional internship. So that is a plus because you come back on your second year with already an immersive experience in practice, which in the MA adaptive reuse program, you already may have had that experience. So you're here just on almost a crash course on adaptive reuse.
and I feel like this question is coming and I haven't even seen it yet, but I just want to address it now. A lot of folks want to understand if the summer program is required. And I mean, I've never met a student who's gone through the summer program and said, man, I wish I didn't do that. Because you learn your resources, you learn, you know, where the different shops are, where you learn your way around Providence. You maybe find the places that you prefer to live. I mean, there are just so much things that you can learn during the summer to get you really ready to hit the ground running for the fall. So it is required and it's meant to be that way for a lot of many reasons, but I find that those like peripheral reasons can be some of the most important, right?
Yeah. We also, I mean, during the summer already, working closely together with our, and that may be a bit more interesting for our international students, but we have services available from Arts and Languages. They are supporting our incoming students right from the beginning, supporting them in not only language-related aspects, but also supporting them in creating or presenting work, presenting a thesis statement. All those kinds of things are actually supported by resources that are outside of our department. Same, of course, for the library. We have a beautiful materials library. We have the nature lab. We have an enormous number of support in the creative world, and then of course in all the health issues and so on as well.
You can have a language barrier, right? That's not always necessarily the issue. The issue is the vernacular around critique, around studio. It's a whole nother language, right? Yeah. I mean, my first language is English and I struggled to understand what juxtaposition meant, you know? And so I think that this is an amazing resource for anyone. And it really is at any kind of an intersection between arts and language. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I put the link in the chat as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions here.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to answer this one really quick. Can you apply to the interior architecture program as well as the master's program in architecture in the same application cycle? You cannot. We want to see students that are focused and researched into the area that they want. That doesn't mean it can't change, that once you're challenged, that might adjust. We can cross that bridge when we get to it. But no, you have to apply to one program. So thanks for asking that question. You got to choose one.
Yeah, and please reach out to us, introduce yourself. We can better help you to decide whether you want to go to one or the other. I think if you're on the fence, there's nothing like talking to both departments. We're more than welcome to schedule a Zoom call.
Reading through one of the questions, our program is, our 2 master programs are, or 3 master programs are STEM certified. So that has in particularly, it's in particularly important for our international students who have the opportunity of a practicum or OPD application for the first year and then a reapplication for 2 additional years. So altogether, the opportunity of staying for 3 additional years in the country participating in the professional world.
Yep, and you work with our international student office to do that, but it is an application process.
Yeah.
The next question, Eduardo, and a part of this, there's a three-part question here. Is the Copenhagen program cost included in the course fee for the summer, or is it separate?
The Copenhagen program is the summer.
Yeah, so it is separate in the way that you are paying RISD and we're paying the Copenhagen program, DIS. So, however, we have started now in our financial aid meetings, if you are admitted, seeing how we can help alleviate those costs, if at all. So it is additional. But we can cross that bridge again when we get there. Once you're admitted, we can start having those conversations.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's premature.
And then the third part of that, Wolfgang, that big question that you started on, I think that question is a better question for to be emailed to you guys. So if you wouldn't mind putting your email in the chat, just because I think it's really specific. You can always email me at admissions and I can get you to Eduardo as well.
But what we quickly could say is that while you are here at Intar, you have the possibility of what we call an independent study program. So you define your own topic, and you are searching for a faculty within the department or even without outside the department, and that would be then the substitute for a three credit elective. So yeah, the possibility is, if I understand the question right, to really focus on a particular interest you bring with you to RISD, to Intar.
Absolutely. And then the next question is about the summer program. The MA in adaptive reuse is based in Copenhagen.
Yes.
Fall and spring is based here in the US. It's full-time only. It is on campus only. So those are important factors to consider if you are applying to the one-year program.
And we have a winter session. We never talked about the winter session, but between the fall and the spring, we have a 5-week winter session. Starts right after the new year, and then ends in the first week of February, with then a 10-day break, and then the spring semester starts. And the winter session is an important aspect as well, because you have to fulfill. You have to really think about the credits you are required to fulfill graduation requirements, and the winter session offers the opportunity for also signing up for something that is outside the department, to experience something which is outside of your discipline here, to experience furniture making or glass or textiles, ceramics. That's a wonderful opportunity when you are at a large creative school like RISD.
And if you, the next question is asking about the descriptions of the studios and electives offered. Electives change on a semester by semester or sometimes yearly basis, depending on what the faculty offers. So you have departmental electives, you have graduate commons electives, and you can find that all on risd.edu. I also, one of the first links that I gave you was the interior architecture website, and they probably have a more in-depth description of what those studio classes look like. So you can just go right there and check them out, but typically they're not announced until you're admitted. That new catalog for the fall of 2023 probably won't be out there until this next spring. So there's not, is in terms of electives, that is.
Yeah, but I would add to Molly. We briefly outlined the focus of our advanced studios in dealing with issues on heritage, infrastructure, phenomenology, exhibit design, sometimes issues that are more program specific on hospitality or other forms of or workplace environments. But always we try to offer electives and studios that somehow fit into these 4 or 5 categories.
Yeah.
While the faculty member may change, while the type of studio may change, we always have this ambition to create this crossover across scales, across methods of intervention, and across contexts.
I think one of my first critiques that I went to at RISD was a critique with your class, Eduardo, and ceramics class. And it was a co-taught course. And in my brain, I was thinking to myself, ceramics, what a heavy material, you know, and then you think about structures, and
Absolutely.
there were things floating from the ceiling. You know, it was really incredible. It just kind of blew my mind. So we do have just a few questions left, which is going to bring us right to the end of our session. I do have to end about 2 minutes early because I have another session on this platform. So, okay. So is it okay for a student from architecture background to apply to an MDes, or do you recommend the 1-year program?
You want to take that one, Wolfie?
Sure. I mean, you have the option. I mean, you would qualify for the 1-year program with an undergraduate degree in architecture and then really specialize on adaptive reuse. It is, of course, wonderful to have 2 years in our department because there are so many additional opportunities to really work within the adaptive reuse setting. And I think also with this opportunity I just mentioned with the independent study program or a collaborative study program, you may like this possibility of a 2-year program instead of just a 1-year program, which is quite it's rather short and still, I mean, requires quite a bit of credits that you have to present to graduate.
Yeah.
But
And,
you have come to apply to both, or
apply to the program that you think that you want to apply to. Again, we'll review you for the best fit, right? So there's no 2 applications, just 1 application. A lot of it's going to be based on your transcripts and the classes that you've taken, but also your portfolio and the maturity and development of that. And that brings us to our last question, which is, can we present work from architectural undergrad for the MDes ENE application?
Yeah, I think, may I respond? Or do you want to?
No, please.
So I do think that if there's an interest from you to apply to the exhibit and narrative environments coming out from an architecture background, it's very important that your statement really explains why, right? Because when you explain why, you can frame your architectural background in retrospect and say, oh, I've learned this in architecture school, but I want to learn something new. And it's an evidence of your process. It's an evidence of your background. So there's nothing to hide on showing work from architectural undergrad. Unless you have present architectural experience that you want to also include in your portfolio, I would never hide something that you've done. As long as you contextualize in your writing statement, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Go ahead, Wolf.
No, I mean, what also is really important in a portfolio is that you show us the breadth of your creative work. You see, we are not we are often you see in the portfolio all those kinds of finished projects and totally styled, and so that's often not so as informative to us than when you show maybe a drawing you did, or a watercolor you did, or an experiment that you approached upon, or that embarked upon, or that you show us an installation of something, or any creative work. Can also be outside of the narrow define or framework of the discipline. So that's important. You see, to show us as many interesting things as possible that would actually define your creativeness and your enthusiasm for the discipline.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that is all. I've put in the email address for admissions. We really are your point of contact to kind of vet your questions, to find out if it's more related to admissions and the application process and the logistics there, or if it's about the curricular questions or the academics or the outcomes. We will forward those along over to the faculty. And that's Providence. We are in a city, a very small city, but we're in a city. And I put in a ton of links here too for the Superman building project, the Pell Bridge project. So the recording should be available probably by this weekend. So thank you all for participating. Eduardo, Wolfgang, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. This is a really important piece of the process, and I hope to see everybody at another session. Have a great day.
It was a
Great.
pleasure.
Thank you. It was a
Bye now.
pleasure talking to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.